And good evening, folks, and welcome to tonight's edition of the Whitfield Report. I am your host, Sam Whitfield, broadcasting live here from NGC Studios in South Florida, and I want to thank you all so very much for joining me tonight, wherever you are in the past, present, future hour. If you're listening to this on the podcast or, on archive. But anyway, I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you're watching this live, we have a great show for you tonight. A little bit more of a diverse show. But anyway, I want to thank you all for hopping in. Contact info as usual. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @SamDeber_NGC. Hashtag Whitfield Report. You can follow me on Gab and Parler at Sam Whitfield. Facebook.com / Whitfield Report. TheSamWhitfield.com is actually down right now. I need to renew the domain, but I'm also about ready to start school in like about a week, so it's so money's a bit tight. So speaking of money, if you'd like to support the show and help out with stuff like the website domain and whatnot, anything you can do to help would be greatly appreciated. Streamlabs.com / the Whitfield Report if you feel like contributing. I only use the money I make from this show to put back into this show. So anything that I do earn from the show is greatly appreciated. And as always, you can subscribe on iTunes and Spotify or wherever else you get your podcast. And if you're able to, please leave us a 5-star rating and review. And so far in the chat, we have let's see here. In the YouTube chat, we have, let's see, Apex Gamma and Alan Powell. And Apex is co-hosting for this evening, so welcome back to the show, Mr. Gamma.
Hi, Sammy. Hi, chat. How you doing tonight?
Well, I'm doing well. I hope you're doing just as good as I am.
Well, I'm doing well. I can't speak to how well you're doing, but I'm significantly more sober than this time last week. So I don't know if that's off to a better start, but it's certainly a less embarrassing start for me.
Well, I think last week's show, I laughed and I was entertained, and we got a lot of good views on the clips, and that is one thing I want to bring up, because last week's show was kind of all over the map, but what you have to understand is, and I hate using that term because of a certain dweeb on the internet, but in this case I will allow. What you have to understand is, we here at the Whitfield Report, we don't take ourselves too seriously, unlike some other, internet personalities. We're willing to poke fun at ourselves and each other here. And, that's exactly what we did last week. So, and, fucking Alan Powell in the chat, he parodies himself all the time. On his channel, the man lives for self-parody, basically. So, but
yeah, well, last week was less of an adventure in content and more of a that's why the drunken your retard rant came out, because I was trying to drunkenly explain that I'm just retarded, and when I come on your show, you're like my tard wrangler. You just kind of guide me in the right direction, or whatever direction you feel appropriate.
Yeah. So also we have talk Tacoma Hooligan on D Live. Thank you for the lemon. And he says he just heard this podcast an hour ago. Well, that's impossible, Tacoma Hooligan. You must have downloaded last week's episode because this episode is live right here now. If you're watching on D Live, that is. So, but anyway,
Well, it's live anywhere you're listening to it right now, Sam. I mean,
yeah,
whether it's on YouTube or elsewhere.
Yeah, although, you know, with YouTube and us playing DNC footage, I'm not sure how long it's going to stay up on air. But anyway, that's what we're going to be covering tonight is the DNC. Now first off, Apex, I want to ask you, did you catch any of the DNC last week, or were you like me and did you pretty much say fuck it? I'm not interested.
Well, I thought it was interesting that when I on two separate days went to watch a show on Hulu and then went to watch a show on Netflix, that they were both right there plastered on the front, like it's the first, you know what I mean, like where they put new releases and shit.
Yeah.
Live footage of the DNC coverage, which I'd never seen before on one of those platforms. Maybe I'd been there and I just didn't notice, but either way. I thought it was really funny that they were doing that. And no, to answer your question, no, because the only Democrat that I really care at all about is Tulsi Gabbard, and she was not invited in any way, so I had no real interest. I knew there would be memes coming out, and of course, I've seen some playback of Joe Biden literally fucking recreating a speech from back under Obama, almost verbatim. Like maybe it is verbatim. I can't remember exactly, but that's the only real takeaway that I've seen as far as playbacks and stuff go. You want to fill me in, chat in? What you know?
Well, to be honest, you know, like I just said, I pretty much had no interest in watching it, so I'm kind of just as blind as you are, or rather approaching it from a from a fresh stance. But what's interesting is I did try and like catch a few minutes of it last week, and it was live on YouTube. And to give context, I have a subscription to YouTube Premium, which means that I can play stuff in the background, and it also I don't get ads. Now the reason I bring that up.
Must be nice.
Must be nice. Must be nice. Isn't that what that fag always likes to say?
I don't know what fag you're talking about. I'm retarded. I'm not a faggot.
Well,
it was a joke.
Well,
I don't have YouTube Premium, is what I was saying.
Yeah,
so I was saying it must be.
Yeah, that wasn't Owen reference, since he always lifts must be nice, which but anyway, no, I have YouTube Premium. The only reason I bring that up is because when I tried to watch the DMC streams last week, whenever I would tune into their channel, all I was able to watch were campaign ads. And I'm like, huh, this is weird. I paid for, I shouldn't be getting ads. So what's the deal? Like, I was kind of pissed, and then come to find out that they were just like live streaming their ads on a loop last week during the convention. So
really? I didn't know that.
So that was kind of hilarious, and like I guess they did it virtually, where everyone was at home and making speeches from home. So.
Well, is that true? Because I thought I saw, or maybe that wasn't from the convention, but I thought I saw like pictures and shit of A bunch of people on stage, Biden and Kamala, and a bunch of people like not wearing masks and shit. People in that was recently. I'm not sure how recent. But.
Yeah, but I think they were I think they were kind of split up like into groups. Like it wasn't from what I understand, it wasn't in like one big convention hall like they usually do. So it was kind of
right. Well, the picture that like my friends IRL were showing me was like there were like 20, 30 people on the stage, you know, including Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. They're all smiling and hands up and shit. Maybe it was when I can't remember when it was from, man. But these are people in my real life that are like, well, the fucking masks, they're not that bad. But look at these people; they're preaching masks. They're not wearing masks. Like, well, no shit, they're not fucking wearing masks because they don't believe in masks. They just want to fucking control you. Duh. You get it?
yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, no, totally. That was a good point. And then some of the people that were wearing masks, like news commentators and whatnot, it was kind of funny because when they were trying to speak, like even with microphones, it came out all muffled. So it was like, and it's like, yeah, obviously you have a fucking cloth over your face or whatever, so obviously it's going to sound muffled. That's
no shit. Try talking to people from 6 feet away, while social distancing and trying to understand what it is they need and explain to them the answer to whatever the question they have is. Like I fucking feel bad for. I mean, everybody that works in any kind of customer service or works in retail of any kind, because it's I mean, I hear so many argue, oh, well, you recognize people by their voice. You can still recognize people by their voice. Like, that's not the fucking point, man. Like, I mean, how many generations, how many millennia have we as human beings like developed, interpreting body language and stuff, primarily facial, well, I guess maybe not primarily, but a good portion of which is based around facial expressions and stuff like that. We recognize people and their actions by body language and stuff. So let's cover up half of the most emotive part of our body and interact with each other. Let's see how that goes.
Yeah, one thing that an IRL friend of mine brought up to me about like 2 months ago or so, and I actually thought this was a really good point, was my friend asked, well, what about deaf people? Because deaf people rely on a lot of them can read lips and rely on lip reading and facial expressions to communicate with people. Since
that's an exceptional point, actually. I hadn't even considered that, but I've dealt with plenty of deaf people in customer service settings, and to be fair, most of them boil down to pen and a piece of paper when it really comes down to it. So, but back when I waited tables 20 years ago or so, there was a couple of deaf couples that would come in, and the first interactions are always nerve-wracking for you as a non-deaf person, because you walk up and go, how you guys doing today? Okay, cool. And they're just looking at the paper, looking at the menu. Well, can I get you guys something to drink? And they just continue looking at the menu, and then they put one of them eventually, oh, notice you're there, and start doing sign language to you.
Yeah.
But they can, again, the horror on my face when I'm, after like 10 seconds being like, these fucking people for real, in my own head. They became, longtime customers and first name basis kind of thing. But ultimately, even still without a mask and trying my hardest, it would almost always come down to pen and paper. But it is a valid point, even people that can hear, that's a good extreme example, though. But that's basically the point that I was trying to make. How much of I think it actually is proven that most of our interpretation of human interactions with one another is based on body movement and less like facial expressions and actual words. But even still, I think the face is a pretty big chunk of that. In my experience, anyway.
Oh yeah, well I also think it's really ridiculous that like that that like schools and colleges too are now requiring. I mean, I feel really bad for kids going back to school because um now they have to wear masks for 8 hours a day, some of them, and then like my half sister's school, I guess they got a case of COVID, within the first week. So now she's back to online schooling from home, and it's only the first week. So it's like
Well,
it's
I
like
mean,
oh my
yeah, just
god.
yeah, the kids. I mean, the kids. That's not. I don't agree with that. I mean, it's already like kids under what is it, 8, I think, or something like that, should not be wearing masks. That's fucking science. There's literally no reason for it. But I mean, yeah, those kids. It's it's definitely. I don't know. I guess depending on personality and temperament, some of them will adapt more easily than others. They don't. Unfortunately, don't know a lot of the freedoms that older generations do. And some of them, I mean, some of the like younger kids, preteens that I have in my life, I actually find it kind of cool. They like the idea of wearing masks and making personalized things, and that's fine. But I do still feel bad for them, especially when it comes to running around on the playground and shit like that. But as
Yeah.
I've stated multiple times on this show and on Versa, um, like I think about the employees of these companies that are forced to wear these masks for 8 hours a day and do physical labor.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
some of it's not that real major of physical labor, admittedly, and there's a lot of construction workers, types of construction work that requires all types of PPE and shit that they got to wear for 8+ hours a day. But the difference that I argue is that most of those people choose that job, and a lot of these degenerates that work in retail and the lower ends of the working class, I guess you could say, myself included, um, they don't have a whole lot of options because they aren't educated or have mental illnesses or whatever. You know what I mean? That prevent them from succeeding at higher jobs. So they don't have a choice but to work in McDonald's. You know what I mean? So
We get it, Apex. You said last week that you're retarded. You don't need to you don't need to
hey, well, that's been nullified. The Dick Laurent channel confirmed public service announcement. Apex Gamma is not retarded, so we're gonna lay off that.
I'm
Just
glad
kidding.
I'm glad because I don't think you're retarded. I do, however, think that people who are supporting Joe Biden are, though. If you're supporting Joe Biden at this point in time, I don't know what to tell you. Um so
I know what to tell you. Drink fucking bleach, motherfucker.
in Minecraft. So uh speaking of
I,
speaking of Joe Biden, Johnny Arcade has turned his attention from Owen to creepy Uncle Joe, and he he managed to sit through the DNC this week, so I've got to give him a big round of applause for that because he's braver than I am. So props to you, Johnny, and I actually have a few clips of the DNC that Johnny has provided us. So the first clip I guess we'll play is let's see if OBS will work here. So the first clip I have to play here is policy. Joe Biden lies about Charlottesville, and so that's the first thing I want to bring up. So Biden brought up Charlottesville and that whole incident, which happened 3 years ago, and the Dems still love to bring up that one incident of white supremacist violence, which, you know, although it was horrible, that was like one time. Yet they failed to, you know, talk about Black Lives Matter. So here is Biden talking about Charlottesville and bringing up this old dead horse again.
Will we be the generation that finally wipes out the stain of racism from our national character? I believe we're up to it. I believe we're ready. Just a week ago yesterday was the 3rd anniversary of the events in Charlottesville. Close your eyes. Remember what you saw on television. Remember seeing those neo-Nazis and Klansmen and white supremacists coming out of fields with lighted torches, veins bulging, spewing the same anti-Semitic bile heard across Europe in the 30s. Remember the violent clash that ensued between those spreading hate and those with the courage to stand against it. And remember what the president said when asked? He said there were, quote, very fine people on both sides. It was a wake-up call for us as a country, and for me, a call to action. At that moment, I knew I'd have to run, because my father taught us that silence was complicity.
Except for the fact, Uncle Joe, that Trump never said that the neo-Nazis were fine people. He said that with exception to the neo-Nazis, there were fine people at Charlottesville. Those who were, you know, wanting to protest to take the statues down, and then those who were wanting to petition for the statues to be taken down but put in a museum or something like that to you know, preserve history. Apex, we've never really talked about Charlottesville in particular, I don't think, because I don't think I knew you when that happened, but I'm curious, do any of your liberal friends ever bring up Charlottesville ever?
That's funny that you say that, because my one super libtard friend, who's again my oldest friend in the world, and I love him to death, he still, even before Biden brought it up, which is why I think it's kind of prophetic that he did, he used that. He used Charlottesville when he would pin me in these, well, not pin me, but when we'd get heated in these arguments, and he's good at debate. That's the thing, and I am not, especially when I start to get wound up, and he'll take the conversation from one, where it started, and lead down some different path where I end up lost, and I end up looking stupid somehow. But the point never gets answered, and he never addresses it. But with Charlottesville, he's brought it up multiple times because he keeps bringing up this secret. I mean, it's fucking NPC talk, man. Like the secret alt-right white supremacists that exist in the country that are, just waiting for their moment to strike. Which I mean, I know accelerationists exist, and alt-right. I don't even know what that means anymore, but I know there's some hardline motherfuckers that literally are waiting for shit to pop off so they can kill people. But I don't think that exists solely on the right. I mean, that's pretty clear actually at this point in fucking 2020. But that's Charlottesville is cited by him over the last year or two as proof, as it was touted in the media that white supremacists exist. Look, here they are marching with fucking $5 tiki torches that they bought at Dollar General. So I mean, I was on the internet back then, so I saw it all go down. I still don't know what the fuck it all means, but I didn't see anything that told me that they were white supremacists. or that they were violent extremists, maybe white supremacists or white, white, whatever you want to call them. They identified as white and were proud of that. Whatever. I don't think that's bad. Just like it's not bad to be black and proud. I don't give a fuck. Don't hurt nobody as a result. And that I don't care what you identify as. But yeah, I mean, he's a good litmus test for me because I've spent so much time on the internet. It's easy to get confused or lost rather in certain lines of research or just certain lines of thinking of certain political ideologies or whatever. But he's a real person that really doesn't spend much time on the internet. And what he does spend is, pretty much his Facebook. I think he has an Instagram, but he's not political. He argues with his family and shit, but he says he's not in a bunch of liberal groups. The only, Facebook groups he's ever been in, he gets kicked out of because he talks shit, but I think he just doesn't. So he's like a non-internet human that uses it like a normie. So I bounced some of this shit off of him to see where it lands. And that's why I'm all of the things now. I'm the Nazi, racist, bigot, homophobe, transphobe. And he says all these things in the same breath that he says, I know you're not these things, but you just seem to identify with their ideals. So to answer your question, yeah, like even before Biden brought it up, it seemed to be, it's still a, maybe not fresh, but like a real highlighted moment in recent history. Like, look, these people, this is what Donald Trump incites, kind of thing. So, and it's not even just the white supremacist thing or the Nazi thing. It's that they're Trump supporters. That's what it all ties to.
Yeah.
I got a little lost there, but that's the point, is that it all ties back to Trump, just like Biden just did. And even before Biden did that, though, that was, again, my point was that my friend has been making that connection for all these years, even without, of course, that's the way it was made in the first place. So it's not difficult to understand how he made that connection. But yeah, I would argue that it was all but gone from memory for most people, because what the fuck happened? It was, they used that as an example, or I remember being used as an example of imminent violence to come from this, these alt-right groups, and nothing ever came of it. In fact, the opposite happened, and leftist fucking terror mobs have burned down half of the fucking country. So
yeah, well, look, I've always said from the beginning, like even before Charlottesville happened, I was telling people not to go, I was telling, members of this audience not to go to Charlottesville, because I figured that, the whole Unite the Right thing was not going to be what people thought it would be. And, of course, it turned out that it wasn't. It was a neo-Nazi rally. And, it was a small group of, a-holes who...
Well, Sammy, there were fine people on both sides, all right?
Yeah. And what Trump meant by that, like I said, was, he said, with exception to the, neo-Nazis, there are, fine people on both sides, who were just there wanting to, peacefully talk about the statues. But as Johnny points out in the chat, Biden said the same shit on 3 separate occasions, all word for word the same. And then, Johnny's also right in saying this is dangerous of Biden to label Trump supporters as Nazis. It gives the left the right to wipe us out. Yeah, and that's what you're seeing with Antifa too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and as Johnny also points out, there was a small group of KKK at Charlottesville, and they tainted the whole thing. And that's where all that publicity comes from, because again, it's been so long, and was barely paying attention. I don't remember all the details. It's also easy to get fucking lost in the truth because how the fuck are you gonna find it at this day and age?
Yeah,
But
I actually have some. You know, I actually have some conspiracy theories out there that, you know, like one of my more conspiratorial theories is that Charlottesville was kind of like a setup to make the right look bad, right? Because you have this extremely, you know, minute group of people, you know, who are doing their racist shit or whatever. But yeah, all the, you know, major news network cameras were just there, and were just so happened to catch it all unfold live, you know, as it was happening. You know,
I mean,
coincidentally,
I feel like, I mean, you could make the same argument now about the shit that's gone on since George Floyd died.
Oh yeah.
As much destruction and rampant fucking chaos, and you know, just general ne'er do wells running around fucking shit up for their own, you know, sick benefit or whatever. There have been legitimate protests and legitimate reasons to protest, you know, but you don't see that. All you're seeing is fucking, you know, Black Lives Matter activists burning shit down and people getting shot. And you know what I mean? So you're only that by nature, that's all you see. When you see the reports, it's so fucking hard to find. That's why it's so fucking hard to find the truth anymore. And I don't even know that it's possible because by now, who was that fucking CIA director decades ago that said something to the degree of when the public can't distinguish truth from, you know, from fiction, then the disinformation campaign will be, you know, complete. And I feel like it's exactly where we are, because it's so hard. Even the people that can find the truth, you're never going to convince people that didn't find it with you of it. Almost, you know what I mean? It's very rare anymore because two people can look at the same fucking information and establish two completely different fucking narratives from it, you know. Aside from just the, you know, the general headlining clickbait journalism, you know, that's been, you know, rampant since Jon Stewart, you know, whatever he did to the news back when the Daily Show became so popular, he kind of ruined an entire generation, in my opinion. And not just my opinion, I think I've said that on the show too, that, you know, when the comedy news became more watched and more profitable than the actual news, you know, by a wide fucking margin, Jon Stewart was destroying everybody back in the, you know, the early 2000s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The whole media shifted to the idea of clickbait. You know what I mean? So it's really hard to wade through, man. I feel like we're fucking we're all but lost at this point. Obviously, we're not, but we're. It feels closer sometimes than other times, but depending on who I'm talking to and the subject at hand. But I've talked for too long. Say something, Sam.
And what's funny is when Jon Stewart was on Joe Rogan recently, I think about like a month ago now or so, I think even he said something like, I didn't think, you know, people would literally take, you know, what I said as, you know, gospel, you know, which
Right. I do remember that, yeah.
Which, I mean, part of me thinks that he knew what he was doing, but then, you know, then again, maybe not. So,
I mean, I don't think he did at first. I think I would find it hard to believe that at some point he didn't become aware before he left the show. You know what I mean? And like consciously continued to do it while knowing how many people he was influencing. And never, you know, without changing any of his approach or whatever. But I mean, yeah, like I don't know. I don't like the approach that everyone in entertainment is automatically bad, or anyone in any field is automatically bad, be it cops, be it actors, be it politicians, you know what I mean? Like, there's obviously a scale for all of those things, and just generally speaking, most politicians are not great people, but in my experience, but that's not
no.
100%, you know what I mean?
I mean, I've had the same experience. You know, most politicians on both sides are you know, kind of shady, and that's the other thing too, is people are like, oh well, you think Trump is a god, and you know, you worship at the altar of Trump, and it's like, listen, I don't worship at the altar of anyone except for, you know, God, but
The Lord God, that's right.
and you know, like, yeah, I like some of the stuff that Trump, you know, has done. I think Trump is hilarious, you know, too. I think that's pretty hard to deny, that, you know, he has a sense of humor about things. But, you know, when Trump makes a mistake, I'm not one of these people who, you know, I realize that the man is not infallible. He's human like all, you know, all of us. He's gonna, you know, he's gonna mess up, and has in some ways. But, and again, I know some people in the audience are gonna hate when I say this, but at the end of the day, we do have two choices. We can either pick Biden or Trump, and when it comes to, you know, and yeah, oh, we don't have to choose the lesser of two evils. Well, unfortunately, in this world, we kind of do. And so, when it comes to choosing the lesser of two evils, if we want to, you know, think of it in that way, I'm gonna fucking choose Trump every single time.
Well, that's like the when I am able to cut through my buddy's debate tactics and argument skills, and I can get him down to, because as I've mentioned before, like, he'll go on these Obama praising little bits, as like comparing Obama to Trump, and I'm like, I pull up fact after fact after fact, about, he's like, well, you know, the biggest thing that he comes down to is, well, Obama sounded more like a politician, which is not uncommon. You know, this whole return to normalcy thing that it's been running on for a while now. Like, oh, well, I don't care what they do as long as they sound like they're doing what I want them to do, kind of thing. But when I finally break him down, he will land on the ultimate atheist, nihilistic, fucking burn it all fucking down. I don't care about anything. I don't want either of them to win, kind of thing. And I'm like, that's where I always lose him, because I can get him so close to being like, well, wait a minute, dude. You have a fucking 1-year-old daughter, a wife, and a house, and a career. You know, I use the simple argument with borders with him. Like, so you're going to tell me that you're going to keep, so not only are you not going to build a fence on your property, but you're going to keep your doors unlocked and open, because why even put doors on your fucking house if you believe everybody should go anywhere and private property is not a thing? But I got kind of off there, but he gets, ultimately, when I'm like, seriously, which of these two do you think is a better option, Biden or Trump? He'll, you know, snarkily will answer Biden. But when it comes down to it, he's like, I don't want either of them to win because I want everything to burn. I don't want any, he fucking hates Christianity, even though his entire family is pretty devout. He thinks it's the worst thing that's ever happened to the world. He's pretty firm on that. Which, I mean, I get the arguments, some of his arguments, but he won't you know, he's the type of person that doesn't listen to the other side, you know, which I kind of got lost there, man. But ultimately what I was trying to say is he will retreat to a position of absolute nihilism when I really pin him on, well, wait a minute, how can you support fucking Biden or Obama when you hate Trump for this if they've both done this and worse than what you're accusing Trump of on fucking record? And Trump hasn't actually done that. You're just inferring from you know, his use of the word thugs. You know, Obama used the word thugs when people were rioting in Ferguson. You know, so did Biden. You know what I mean? Politicians are all fucked. They all need to fucking. We don't need a system at all. Fucking destroy the government completely. We can just live as you know, happy communities like fucking cavemen, and everything will be great because all humans are just awesome all the time, and we'll take care of each other because that's what humans do. Like, grow the fuck up, man.
Yeah, I mean, and that you know that's kind of the whole thing that, you know, I've encountered too, because there are those nuts on the right somewhat too, and I actually encountered a nut on Twitter who was another accelerationist who was saying, you don't understand what Owen is, you know, trying to do with the whole Bertari thing. It's all going to go to shit anyway, so, you know, we need a community like Bertaria. And it's like, and I was like, I'm like, hold up. A, Bertaria is a Ponzi scheme, and B, so we're just going to become like little tribal communities because we've all, you know, decided just to say, you know, fuck it, we're done with the American experiment because it's too tough now. I mean, that's kind of what has irritated me on both sides, is we have like the super, I mean, and this isn't everyone, but we have the two fringe sides that just want to see everyone, that want to see everything burn down. And it's more annoying than anything, because they're not gonna be the ones running shit if that happens, and they don't
Exactly.
they don't realize it. So,
Well, I mean, I think that's part of the problem, though, is the extremes on both ends are the highest population on the internet. I don't have any facts for that, but it just seems that way to me.
oh yeah,
That, like, you know what I mean? The most active people on the internet are, I would guess, are on the extremes of both sides of the political spectrum. You know, the people with 25 YouTube accounts and fucking, you know, it's, you know what I mean? The fucking trolls on both sides, the shit posters on both sides, the political activists on both sides. So, like, those of us that spend time on the internet, and aren't necessarily trying to push a narrative, because that's not what I'm trying to do, or have been trying to do, except for the narrative that Owen Benjamin is fucking retarded. But I haven't been doing that for a while now. Is just simply, you know, I was talking in a live stream chat, a small live stream chat earlier, about this content creator that's just he's been a shit poster since like 2014 or so, making videos talking shit on people, and they were arguing about his stances on things, and I'm like, I never considered that, because when I watched that man, nothing he says I don't take anything he says seriously. It's just comedy. Like, he's a comedian, and he says some outrageous things, and you know, whatever else. But, like, I think the part of the problem, man, is, again, so many people like me, I see all the shit online, and I have done less speaking to actual people about a lot of these things, because politics and religion are two things that I was brought up, you know, with the impression that it's kind of impolite to talk to strangers about, you know.
yeah,
You can talk to your family and loved ones and friends and stuff, but yeah, it was just an impolite conversation topic. So to just walk up to random people like, hey, what do you think about the state of the country right now? Who are you voting for? You know, that's not like not my thing.
and
Maybe with a camera and a microphone, but not just like as a normal citizen. So again, the point, though, is like, we get so much of this. I get so much of this, both sides of the political spectrum, from the internet, and from some people that I know personally, like you, but most of them, I don't know a thing about them, other than what they post on the internet. So when it comes to, but the gap that I'm trying to bridge here is, when I do talk to people in real life, even the people that just recently, within the last, it was 2 days ago, I spoke to an elderly gentleman that was wearing a Biden 2020 hat. He's the first, literally the first person in my corn-fed neck of the woods that has been wearing a political hat that wasn't MAGA or Trump 2020. And I talked to him, and he was so fucking reasonable and so understanding. And I mean, his arguments against why he was, or why he wanted to vote for Biden, were some of the most sound. I can't really recite any of them, but I respected his opinion because he wasn't belligerent, and I mean, maybe he tricked me with some, by speaking to me calmly and using intellectual-ish words, but I don't think so. I mean, it was just like it was just a normal conversation, like with someone. I'm like, what makes you want to vote for Biden? And I mean, his general answer, because again, I can't remember any of his exact points because I was at work and had tons of other things going on. But it was basically the simple argument that he wants to return to the politics that he's grown up with, the American politics that he's grown up with. And I tried to argue with him that that's the reason we're in the mess we're in. A lot of it is because of the way politics have been run for the last several decades, including the entire time Biden's been a politician.
Yeah.
Like, well, I understand that, but I would rather, it's funny because he kind of made, it's kind of coming back to me, he kind of made the argument that I make to my super liberal friend about like Christianity and shit. Like, okay, yeah, for sure. Catholicism and, the priesthood, and there's so much that's been wrong about Christianity and Catholicism over the last several centuries, but you can't burn it all down. Like, you can't just say that it's responsible for everything. And that's kind of the argument this guy was trying to make. Like, yeah, well, I don't think the bull in the china shop is the answer. I think if we can backpedal that a little bit, we can save this and that and the other. And I ultimately didn't agree with him, but like I said, he made an intellectual enough argument, like far beyond anything that I've seen or heard from, the online leftist, because that's just all spurging and yelling, you know what I mean? So I think that's what's missing, is conversations in public with people about a lot of these things,
Yeah, well,
honest conversations, without all the preloaded animosity and bullet points and shit,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think Biden is gonna win. Like even a lot of the Democrats I know are kind of meh on him.
Well, yeah, especially when they see him literally fucking reciting speech for the third time, man. What the fuck?
Which I want to play some more clips of that too. And Johnny brings up a good point, because this is another thing I've actually discussed with people, because all of my neighbors who support Biden, which isn't very many, because a lot of people in my neighborhood kind of think, along the lines that we do. But the ones that do support Biden, they seem to think that Biden is going to end the quarantine. Whereas, as Johnny points out, Biden will mandate masks. So if you are someone who believes in the rights of the individual are more important than the safety of the collective, you will be banned from civil society. Yeah, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Biden is not going to end the quarantine. If anything, he's going to, intensify it more so.
I don't know. I mean, I definitely could see that, but I've said internally, I don't know if I've said this out loud anywhere, but like, I have this weird feeling that depending on who wins come November, that this whole pandemic is either going to very swiftly like shrink, and all these lockdowns and the mandates are going to dissipate rather quickly, say if Joe Biden wins, or if Trump wins, it's going to you know, like it's been now, it's, you know, cases are going to go through the fucking roof here and there and everywhere. And the overall fake news is going to go into hyperdrive. I mean, I definitely see the argument that they're trying to, I'm actually more in line with that, like, yeah, the mask mandates are not going to go away if Joe Biden wins. They're not going to go away if fucking Trump wins. I hate to tell everybody, but they're not.
But they'll
This is that's the thing, is this is the new normal. It's been a meme for a minute, but no matter who wins, get used to fucking masks because it's control. Period. No matter who's running the White House, it's they have to control us, and if they can, they will.
Yeah. And Johnny just brought up a point which made my skin crawl. If election can't be decided, then Pelosi takes over as sitting president.
Yeah,
Well,
I think we would have. I mean, I hate to be brutal about it, but I think something like that would bring out the extreme extremists, and I mean that would, oh, dude, that would be so bad. That would be so bad.
yeah, to have that other face running the country. So, I mean,
No, not dude. She is fucking. That is a reanimated corpse several times. I don't like. I can't even. Like, I can't even, like, when she talks or when she is a fucking Muppet, man.
her face is frozen from all that Botox. I mean, she's had more work done than what's her face than Hanoi Jane. Oh, than Jane Fonda. So, but let's see, what else did Johnny put up here for the clips, because there were some real doozies from the Biden speech. Let's see. Oh, I think
Fucking Beetlejuice, goddamn catfish Beetlejuice, up here in Chicago. Lightfoot. What do you know about that fucking wretched human thing?
not much. Want to inform me on that?
Well, she looks like Beetlejuice mixed with a catfish.
Oh yeah, her.
She's fucking terrible, dude. You know, the Portland mayor, I mean, Chicago's close to me, and so that's basically local news for me. And honestly, it's so close that I've kind of avoided paying too close attention to the things that she's saying and doing, because I might just feel the need to do like that flat earth dude and build a rocket and fail at proving that the earth is flat and smash the fuck into the ground and leave the planet forever. That's a long way of saying I would fucking kill myself, which is a joke, but damn, I forgot I lost my point.
Yeah, who will co-host the show with me if you go, Apex?
I don't know, man. Scorpio did a pretty good job.
Scorpio does do a pretty good job, but you know, he's the Galen chief. He's too busy running Gamma Ops, so.
Yeah, and he's not retarded enough. Like, you need to I don't know. I don't know what the point was.
Anyway, he's not. And he's not gay enough. He's not gay enough either to take Johnny Arcade's place. So either. So
that's true. Nobody's gay enough to take Johnny Arcade's place.
Although I guess Semper is trying. So.
Well, wait a minute. I mean, if we're talking about gayness, I think Eric might be top of that mountain. I don't know though.
I don't know. I know that Eric's in the chat right now, and he probably has a big old chub watching this right now. So, but
it's nice to see Eric in the chat. I don't think he's normally up this late.
No, I don't think he is. But so Creepy Uncle Joe, clip number 2. There has never been anything we've been able to accomplish when we've done it together. So Joe is really encouraging here, huh?
This is the United States of America. And there's never been anything we've been able to accomplish.
How do you see all this playing out, man? Like the next, I mean, we're still, I don't know the exact day count, but I'm not interested enough to keep count on the days. But it does seem to be an odd reflection of 2016, doesn't it? In a lot of ways.
I mean, I will say this: the one thing regarding the, regarding this whole election here, I'd like to think that we're gonna win. I really would, but I just hope that we're not like overly confident that Trump is gonna win. In other words, I hope that people still get out and vote for Trump, and don't have what the because what happened with Hillary was the Dems were so sure that Hillary was going to win anyway that like a lot of them stayed home because they were like, well, no one's going to vote for Trump, right? And then the Republicans came out in force and voted for Trump overwhelmingly, and Hillary got defeated, even though she was kind of preordained, quote unquote. And so, I just hope that people still show up to the polls and vote, and not think that Trump is going to win this thing in a landslide. I think if people
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I think if people show up, Trump is definitely going to win. But I just hope people aren't overly confident, because I'm not. Fucking 2020. No. Fucking 2020 has been a weird ass year. Anything can fucking happen between now and December. Fucking aliens.
Isn't it?
Fucking aliens could invade. So
I was gonna say, it's such a weird like what do you call that, like thought exercise or just like concept in the brain to think about the idea that in the year 2020, the most normal thing, literally the most normal thing that could have happened in the 10 months of the year would be the re-election of a fucking reality TV star to the president of the greatest country on the planet. You know what I mean? Like the most divisive, probably one of the most, if not the most divisive presidents in history being reelected, the most non-political politician being reelected. That would be the most normal thing to have happened all year. Like,
oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like maybe normal is not the best word, but you get what I'm saying? Like it would be the most like, like, I don't know.
Yeah, for me, if Trump gets reelected, I'll kind of be like, oh well, thank God this year isn't completely fucked. So
well, that's only step one though, man, because I feel like the inevitable result of him being reelected is the fucking Spinal Tap would say turning that shit up to 11 against him, including perhaps assassination attempts, both on him and cabinet members and fucking other like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I could see it going real dark, real fast, because they've tried all the subversive shit. And I mean, I say they, the proverbial they, I don't know who the fuck they are, but
Deep state,
not just the Democrats, deep state, Democrats, Israel, Mossad, fucking
George Soros.
Soros, yeah, Turkey, Russia, China, fucking China, goddamn Xi Jinping, Xi, as in she, SHE, spelled XI,
See,
but it's she because he's a fucking woman.
see, when it comes to all the shit that Israel gets blamed for, I mean, I'm pretty pro-Israel, and if people want to call me a Zionist, so fucking be it.
That's it. I'm out.
But everything that Israel gets blamed for, I always blame on the Chinese. So,
most I'm not gonna go there, Sam. I don't want to get your channel banned.
Most of it, anyway. So, but
I mean, the USS Liberty.
well, okay, that's an exception. That's an exception. So.
That's just one, but yeah, I get what you're saying. What I find, especially in most recent history, is what Russia gets blamed for is what actually China is doing.
Oh yeah.
And there was an article I posted that I think Alex from Versa posted in the Versa Discord earlier about a group of hackers that have allegedly leaked. They hacked into 3 major telecommunications companies of the Chinese Communist Party, the names of which I can't recall off the top of my head. But what they've released so far alleges like exactly what people have been speculating, especially, I mean, most notably for us here is the things that I've been, rambling about as far as their control on information and their network of spies. I mean, it turns out, according to some of these leaked documents, and this is not verbatim because it's been several hours, at least 2 bowls of marijuana since then. But the Houston consulate that was recently closed, which you'll remember, and where they were burning documents and shit, these leaks that these hackers allegedly hacked into proved that there were military officials in that consulate there for espionage purposes with fake IDs and shit that had gone in and out. And again, these are all unverified, but the group of hackers have like 40 gigs of information that they're going to be dumping pretty soon. So this all goes. I expect more of it. The tweet that I posted, I think, or at least I intended to say, expect more of this shit as this great fucking iron curtain across Asia comes down once again. As I keep the metaphor I keep using, because there's a lot of Chinese people, man. There's a lot of Chinese Communist Party members, rather, but there are way more Chinese people, and there are way more people just in general on the planet. And freedom tends to, well, not just maybe not freedom, because we're not even fucking free here, but that sort of oppression that they've been dealing with over there for the last several decades, it just can't last, man. It just won't, especially in an age where information is so freely flowing. As much as they try to restrict it, they won't, they can't, they haven't, you know what I mean? So it's just, I feel like we're watching, like I said, maybe not last week because I was fucking wasted, but maybe the week before, that it's weird watching the pieces move in such dramatic ways as I feel like they are now. I mean, I don't. It's again, it's hard to call as you're watching it, but I feel very strongly about what we're witnessing with China right now, as I've made very clear to you and the audience.
Yeah. Yeah, this
God, literally, it's like God is punishing them right now. They are fucking Three Gorges Dam, that largest hydroelectric plant in the world, is facing its 5th wave of major flooding in the last like 2 months. And there are like 54 million people, according to the Chinese numbers, and we know how they like to report numbers. 54 million people have been displaced or affected, and several thousand have died, obviously, and food shortages, and I mean, it's not good. It's literally, they have something called the mandate of heaven in the Chinese Communist Party, and that's the understanding that God, whatever that is to them, and heaven ordained their rule so that, you know, harvests will be bountiful, and it basically, the idea is that when natural disasters start occurring, especially piled on top of each other, according to the mandate of heaven, that whatever ruling party is doing it wrong and needs to be removed. And on top, you know, when you think of I mean, there's, if you just, some of the, maybe it's just me because of the things I pay attention to on the internet, but like the shit that's been happening over there, it's been snowing in the middle of summer. And again, all these massive floods and random lightning strikes causing giant fireballs all over the place. And China's huge. So, of course, you know, random shit's going to happen all over the place. But it just seems like it's almost, well, it actually is biblical because there's literal rivers running red and shit, which is not the first time it's happened. But again, on top of everything else, it's hard to ignore as somebody not super religious, but definitely faithful, and somebody who hopes for the continued existence of the human race, you know, like, and looks for the brightest light towards that. I don't really give a fuck about much else, but, you know, persecuting and what the Muslim Uyghurs and the Falun Gong. I mean, we don't even know the truth about all that shit yet.
no, and
We will.
yeah, hopefully we're all around to you know, discover what that truth is. That's what I'm kind of hoping for.
Well, that's what I refer to when I say that once that Iron Curtain comes down and the rest of the world is able to see the atrocities, I think that will be a watershed moment for the rest of the world, because these people like my friend, who really is, and I mean really truly, and I know this, is a good person in his heart, generally speaking. They don't, they're so ideologically driven because things are so fuzzy. Everything is so fuzzy. But I think why I think it's so important is because when, like I said, when their mass censorship falls, and the people that have been in the Chinese Communist Party not rocking the boat, but not agreeing with anything that's happening and amassing evidence and shit, because I guarantee you there are thousands of those people in the Communist Party now, and outside of it too. A lot of them end up fucking dead because they get caught, but there's smart ones. There's what is it? There's a billion of them, at least, Chinese people. But once the fucking regime falls and information can be extracted therefrom by both ours and other nations surrounding that are going to inevitably have to help. And again, when the normies see what's been going on in China and every fucking thing that they own that has a made in China stamp on it, and everything that they've argued in defense of communism or Marxism or well, China's bad, but we're worse kind of thing. Like, yeah, that's all going to go so far out the window so fast that I think it really will. I'm hoping for it like fucking tomorrow. Seriously, I don't wish any suffering on the Chinese people, which they're going to suffer, and they are suffering, and they have been. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But the sooner it happens, the less they suffer in the long run, and the quicker, you know, I hope anyway, the rest of the world will become aware and privy to the true horror of, you know what? It shouldn't be a fucking secret, because what Mao has done, what Stalin fucking did, what Lenin did, that should be common knowledge, but it's not. I mean, somewhere near 100 million unnatural deaths under Mao, the birth of communism in China, which is more than fucking Hitler and Stalin put together, you know?
Oh yeah.
So,
oh yeah.
whatever.
Oh yeah. They still don't know. They still don't know the numbers of Mao's, great, society. How many people got killed with that? And by the way, Robbie don't care in the chat. It says bright dude speaking, or yeah, Robbie. That is Apex Gamer, the show's the show's co-host, who's only retarded when he's drunk. Let's say that. But other than that,
that's not true. I am pretty retarded most of the time. I'm just it's like a magnifying glass on an ant when I've drank a 6-pack of high alcohol beer and then decide to drink really expensive, well, not really expensive, but decent whiskey, and then talk on the internet, you know. But I'm not that bright. I'm really not. I honestly, I think like most of my generation and the generation after me, under me, and perhaps the one after that, I think there's a little bit of autism in there, somewhere floating around. But I joke about. Go ahead.
Honestly, I mean, people say that I'm bright and I'm smart, but like I have an average IQ. My IQ is not 140, is not 147, and I get good grades, but they're kind of average. And college, I swear to God that some of the intellectual types, quote unquote intellectual types out there are all fucking idiots. That's what I've come to find out. Like, the smarter some people are, the dumber they are, if that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. My one of my stepdads growing up was a cyclotron engineer, which I mean I find difficult to explain even now, but basically the dude built pieces for particle accelerators, like the Hadron Collider. Not the Hadron Collider, but he built pieces for things like that, He was like, as far as engineering goes and technology, the dude was a fucking wizard. He was so smart. But put him in a room with more than one, actually, with anything other than dudes. But if you put him in a room with one remotely attractive female, much less more than one, in a social environment, I mean, you may as well just walk away, because the cringe will turn you inside out like a fucking spider that's been dead for 2 weeks. Like your limbs will curl up. The cringe will kill you. Literally will kill you. Yeah, he's retarded. He's socially fucking retarded, but one of the smartest people I've ever known at the same time. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's a give and take. If you're going to be really good at any one thing, you're going to lose it somewhere else. I think that's just the nature of life, man. Like, you lose your eyesight, you're going to get really good at hearing. Daredevil taught me that, but
us. Well, I'm not blind, but us, us disabled folks, we can fuck people.
Handy capable.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Thank you. So, speaking of, you said the 2 magic words, which are attractive women. So, I kind of stopped listening after that, but you said my two favorite words. So actually, it's my favorite singular word.
What?
Attractive women. Attractive women.
Oh,
So,
attractive. Oh, yeah. Well, Sam, maybe you and my stepdad might equal one socially acceptable human around attractive women. I don't know. Are you socially awkward around women? I don't imagine so with that fucking Roman chariot you're sitting on. Just cut their legs off and take them with you.
I mean, I used to be when I was younger, not anymore. So, but
Well, no, but the point though is, I think that I don't know, like, what's the answer? Do you spread yourself across as many things as you can, or do you focus on, you know, a few things and be really good at those? Jack of all trades, master of none, or you know what I mean? It's been kind of a struggle for me personally
no, I mean
because I have. Go ahead.
it's been a struggle for me too. I tend to focus on like a couple of areas where I'm good at. Podcasting is one of them, and then like technical communications in general, which is what I'm studying in college. I'm good at that. So, but other than that, like I, you know, obviously I don't think we're meant to be good at everything. And I mean, I think people that try and be good at everything, they ultimately end up failing at more things than succeeding because they stretch themselves too thin. And I mean, I think we've seen clear cases of that, just in our time together witnessing some of these internet locales. So, um, but, I think, I think what's interesting about the internet is you see the best of people on here, and you also see the worst and weirdest in people
Well,
on here.
I see it. I see it as a magnifying glass, man. Joe Rogan is, famously said that he thinks that like social media and shit amplifies mental illness, but I think it is. I think it's more than that. I think it amplifies everything. It amplifies everything that you are. Especially the longer you spend on it and the more you put into it, it becomes a like a composite for you as a person. Which, again, if there were some like master built AI that was like pre-built when the internet started, that's just been absorbing everything from everybody and knowing who it came from and the content, you know what I mean, like absorbing it all, like we would be fucked already. But um damn it, there was a point to that. But I just think that it amplifies everything that we are as people, positive and negative. It has the potential for both, because I have seen a lot of genius flower in my time on the internet. People that started doing one thing because they have a creative knack, and they ended up doing, making a living and doing something, still creative. But I mean, there's so many art channels and music channels that would never be possible without the internet, that its mere existence, allows them to think in ways that other generations of musicians and artists couldn't, because they didn't have time-lapse fucking video that for people to click on demand and watch a 40-hour drawing be made in 10 minutes or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, as well as, like Joe Rogan famously said, people that have like personality disorders or like full-blown mental illness, undiagnosed or otherwise,
And
I think it puts a right. I think it puts a magnifying glass on that shit, man. Like, it turns it into I mean, there's so little context in just plain words, and most 99.9% of people writing shit on the internet are not authors, much less are they very well educated in proper fucking grammar and English, you know? So context is lost almost entirely with most interactions on the internet, you know? So even people that have good points to make don't know how to make them. And even if they think they do, I fall victim to this all the time. You think you've got a good point, but the receiving end, they don't have even remotely the same concept of the world as you. So the words you just said that make all the sense in the world to you, you're speaking to a different creature, more or less, or, you know, like much less language barriers. If English is a second language or a third language for some of these, you know, some of these people that you end up interacting with, you know, you know, again, I just think it's a magnifying glass on us as personalities, good and bad.
Yeah, and then what I also find interesting is, like, in my experience, like, I just wanted, when I was like 14, I wanted to be on the radio and kind of do like a DJ type talk thing, and you know, I couldn't because, you know, at the time, like, you know, as radio kind of got corporatized, you know, no, there weren't any, you know, you couldn't like hire, even the local radio stations wouldn't like hire me as an intern or, you know, whatnot. So I was just some dude who had to figure all this shit out on my own, and kind of, you know, dicked around with like early podcasting feeds, and you know, I kind of like stumbled through this, but then lo and behold, I taught myself how to do this shit, and you know, like, yeah, I'm not Joe Rogan, you know, levels of famous, but considering that, like, I've basically, you know, done this whole thing like independent, I think I've done pretty damn good for myself. And you know what, I'm still, you know, learning how to do this shit, and you know, I'm just fucking running with it. So
Well, that's something I've actually mentioned to you. I don't know if it was on air or in like a just a, you know, personal chat, but like I like that you've been doing it for so long, because you're young, Sam, and while you, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, to be fair, like there's not a whole lot of success, quote unquote, that you have to show. I mean, of course, you got Ben Shapiro before Ben Shapiro was popular. You have many notable streams and stuff and things that have happened. But as, again, in comparison to the Joe Rogan types and the other like super successful podcasters, you know, you haven't necessarily reached that yet. But as I've also said all along, certainly on stream, is that I think that you have everything necessary to you don't have to be you don't have to be Joe Rogan, man, you know, but to make a living out of it, to do what you're doing now for a living. And I think you're young enough still, and you've been doing it long enough. I think you seem, as much as I know you, which admittedly is not super well, but I think well enough to surmise that you'll figure it out. I think.
well
I think you'll do great eventually.
well
You know.
well, thank you, Apex. Your PayPal transaction will be completed here momentarily. So thanks for
don't make me squirt live on stream, man. I've already been drunk here.
oh god, that's all, that is all we need is so speaking of that, of, you know, that weird kind of shifting to movies and whatnot. Hey, one thing I wanted to get your opinion on is what what do you make of the conundrum that Netflix is in now? So,
Ooh, that's
yeah,
that's a surprise topic, Sam, and I can't believe I didn't think about that before the show because that's been fucking eating me up, man.
yeah,
Personally, sorry. I think it's fucking disgusting. And I mean, obviously the movie's not even out yet, so we don't know what the fuck it is. But I, I watched the trailer because I watched the Rekieta stream, the Nick Rekieta stream about it, and then I
yeah.
watched his stream with Joshua Moon. Um,
And for those who don't know what we're talking about, I guess there's this new like French movie on Netflix, or that's going to come out on Netflix called Cuties, and I don't know what it's about, and I don't want to,
well,
but like
actually,
all the promotional
go,
images, I basically like super sexualized children, basically. It seems like, and it's just
well, I'm gonna look up the original synopsis because I don't know if I can. Oh yeah, okay, they changed it. Okay, so the synopsis of the movie is it is about 11-year-old who starts to rebel against her conservative family traditions when she becomes fascinated with twerking and a twerking dance crew. Hoping to join them, she starts to explore her femininity, defying her family's traditions. And that synopsis does not say it, but somewhere I read originally when the trailer first got launched, that it was about exploring over sexualized society. It was worded in a way that it was like living in a world of an over sexualized society. But in the short 1 minute trailer or whatever it is so fucking disgusting, dude. Like, me just as a human fucking being, and nobody that I've spoke to that has seen it or that I've made watch it without any. I've tried my best to be like, hey, watch this trailer real quick. Tell me what you think about this new Netflix show. Uh, which at least in one case has been like, bro, what do you mean? Like, no. I'm trying to be unbiased to get your reaction because it's puke worthy, for sure. But yeah, no, I've not met anybody in person that has heard of it or seen anything about it. And even people that have argued with shows about 13 Reasons, whatever, wasn't it called 13 Reasons Why or whatever, that other Netflix show about fucking suicide?
oh yeah.
Yeah, see, I argued with my my old lady about that. And I never actually watched that show, but I watched some of it, and I didn't like it. I didn't like the implications for like, because it's a kids show about kids, you know. My arguments did not land with her at all. She's like, no, you don't understand. It's trying to talk them out of it. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. It's glorifying it. We argued fucking for it. We still have not come to a conclusion on that. But this one I brought to her. I'm like, what do you think about this? She watches fucking My 800-Pound Life and 18, what is it, Teen Mom, and all the garbage fucking shit on TV. And I may have even seen her watch, maybe just in passing, but those stupid pageant shows, which are no better, in my opinion. But at least uh, they don't, like, I don't know, this trailer for this show and all the promotional footage and pictures and shit screams like pedo, dude. Like, it just screams pedo. Like the zooming in on fucking little girls' crotches in the fucking trailer. You know what I mean? Like, real quick
Yeah,
zoom. Like, you cut the shot.
yeah,
Nothing about that. Nothing about that speaks artistic to me. I could listen. There have been movies made that talk about this subject, that that broach this topic or breach this topic without glorifying it, that make it, that tell a compelling story creatively and will disgust you, but without, again, glorifying it. And that's the real problem so far that I have with all the promotional material, is like, okay, supposedly this director is coming out and saying, well, this is about like growing up as a preteen in an over-sexualized society and like the struggles of a young woman dealing with that. Okay, that's a thing. I could that is happening right now with girls, all over the planet, but for sure in this country. But so far, what I've seen, the promotional material is all happy, glorifying, twerking, and fucking girls being, dressing in fucking provocative shit and acting in provocative ways. Like, that's not the story that you appear to be trying to tell based on the promotional material. And that's really the problem that I have. I don't know what this movie even is yet, but how it's being promoted. That's the fucking problem that I have.
And not even like teenage girls, like fucking, like, again, 11-year-olds, at that. And see, like, it's just, it's weird. And I know that people are going after Netflix for this, and maybe they're justified, but, and I'm not even like necessarily defending Netflix, but I will say Netflix does have good programs like Mindhunter, for example, which, again, you recommended, to me. Like, Mindhunter is one that I think a lot more people should see, because it explores the dark side of humanity and doesn't like fucking glorify it. But then, like, you have shit like this, and it's like, who at Netflix decided this would be a good fucking idea, to approve this? That's what I want to know, because it seems like different people run different shit over there, if that makes sense.
Well, Aviation Arms in the chat asks, he says, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't Netflix have Pretty Baby on it, which basically has a pedo scene in it, which I am entirely unfamiliar with. I've never even heard of before I read it in the chat just now. But if it does, I would be equally upset about that. But the problem, or the difference, I guess, is I've never heard of it. Cuties is fucking everywhere. It's fucking everywhere. It's been everywhere since. And you know what? Pretty Baby, whatever that is, if it has a pedo scene in it, I don't know. Again, I don't know the context. But as I was saying just a minute ago, there are ways to tell those stories and horrify you and compel you without glorifying the acts within. I mean, surely there are some people that are going to watch disgusting acts of violence, portrayed as well as can be done by a director, as meaningfully as can be done by a director, and somebody somewhere, maybe even a handful of people somewheres, will be compelled enough to try that or something. You know what I mean? Like to enact some sort of whatever. But that's art, I guess. You know what I mean? In all of its forms. But I think there's a difference, man. Like, there's a difference between telling a story that's disgusting and compelling on multiple levels and glorifying a disgusting story. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like,
well, you've seen the movie. I know that you're a Clint Eastwood fan, Apex, as you and I found out about each other last week on Twitter. So I'm assuming you've seen the first Dirty Harry. Am I right?
yes, you are correct.
So there's a scene in Dirty Harry where the serial killer guy kidnaps kidnaps like a teenage girl, and it is implied that they basically molests her and rapes her and kills her. It doesn't show on screen, but that's kind of the impetus for Dirty Harry going after the guy and eventually killing him, becoming a vigilante cop like at the end of the fucking movie. So like I have no problem with them. I have no problem with movies like pushing like dark boundaries, but I don't know. I guess it's how they do it and in what context they do it. If that makes sense. So, but
sorry, too many windows open. Yeah, no, it makes sense, man.
So, but yeah, that was a. I mean, so that was certainly a weird thing that came out of this week. So,
all right, so let me segue here because this is going to be something you're either or both more excited about and more knowledgeable about. But I watched both the Wonder Woman 1984 trailer and the Snyder Cut of Justice League trailer, and what do you think?
So
start with, well, I don't need to. We're gonna skip Wonder Woman because I know what you think about that. What do you think about the Justice League trailer?
So the Justice League Snyder trailer, I wish that One Step Too Far weren't here because he's actually a big fan of everything Zack Snyder. But I will say that I'm fucking excited for Justice League the Snyder Cut, just because I never saw the theatrical cut of the Justice League movie, but from what I understand, it's a train wreck. And I actually like kind of the darker tone of Batman v Superman and some of the other DC movies that have come out. I seem to be in the minority, but I actually liked Batfleck, so I'm excited. I thought that the use of Hallelujah in the trailer is it was interesting since they used that in the Watchmen movie, which Zack Snyder also did. But what do you think of the Justice League movie? So. And did we lose you, Apex? This program brought to you by Smooth Dead Air.
Oh, dude, no, I was talking to nothing because you in the middle of your sentence dropped out, so I thought I was running the Whitfield report. So I started smoothly naming off things in my room that I could see, and I thought maybe you had to leave and come back, but it was me as usual. Sorry about that, chat.
No, I was just saying that I liked the trailer for the Snyder Cut, and
well, I mean, it looks cool, but that's easy to do when you show 75 or like 3-second clips and play Hallelujah calmly in the background, which, as you pointed out in DMs, brought you, I'm sure, unintentionally some Watchmen, some OG Watchmen movie vibes, because that song was also in that movie.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the fuck to think of it. Like, I can't tell what the fuck's going on. I can't tell. I mean, I see a bunch of characters I recognize in places that they should be, but I mean, is it better? I don't fucking know. The first one was absolute shit, so it's probably better. But I mean, I kind of like shitty movies. I have a hard time dealing with shitty movies that take themselves as seriously as the first Justice League tried to. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. No, and I never saw the first Justice League movie because I was told to wait for the Snyder cut. So
Well, I mean, I watched it like, happenstance. It was just on. It's one of my friend's house or something. I
uh-huh.
haven't seen the whole thing, but like the CG is fucking in so many places is so obviously garbage. And again, what little bit of the story I saw was like, what? Wait, what? I mean, the jumps and the characters didn't make sense, like in accordance with their solo movies. In certain, I can't think of anything offhand, like in particular, because I just kind of blanked it out. Like I don't care enough about comic book movies, man. I grew up with a big brother that was obsessed with comic books, um, and graphic novels and stuff. So I have an appreciation for them, but like everything else, man, I once the uh the MCU became the MCU and they started laying out 5-year plans for movies and shit, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I don't care that much, dude. Like, I don't, I just don't. I mean,
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
No, all I was gonna say is I'm kind of in the same boat that you are. Listen, you have a younger brother who does collect comic books and graphic novels, and that's me. But like, and I liked the first like 5 years of the Marvel movies, but
Same.
but after that, like I kind of stopped. I still watch them, but I don't try and keep up with them. Like I have Disney Plus, so I can go back and watch them like anytime I want to. But like
Same. Yeah.
I don't feel like I need to you know go out and
No,
spend.
because guess what? You're familiar with the source material, and the
Mm-hmm.
source material is almost certainly better than the realized visual spectacle that they put on screen. It just is,
Oh,
because the
oh,
difference
absolutely.
the difference between even an illustrated book and a movie is your imagination. You get to fill in blanks with your own imagination, which
Yeah.
you do technically you do still get to do with movies. There is a good movie anyway, will or TV show will leave you plenty of room to fill in those blanks, which is why I like Mindhunter. You know what I mean? Like it's such a cerebral. It's boring on its face, but it is very cerebral in the context of the historical context of the FBI and serial killers and shit. I thought that's David Fincher, isn't it? Can't remember.
Yeah. No, that's David Fincher.
Yeah,
So
David Fincher. Exactly. I thought he did a good job. But that's not necessarily like my favorite kind of TV show or movie or anything. You know what I mean? Like I said earlier, I like really stupid shit too. I mean, Trailer Park Boys is one of my favorite shows of all time. Um,
I I just finished watching The Office for the second time through because I fucking love The Office. So and
have you ever watched the Trailer Park Boys?
oh yeah, I fucking love the Trailer Park Boys.
Okay, yeah,
So
that's. I was gonna say you didn't. I said I watched the Trailer Park Boys was one of my favorite. And you're like, oh, I watched The Office. So I was like, I assumed you didn't never seen it.
I haven't. I will say with Trailer Park Boys, I haven't watched like the whole series. Like I've kind of watched them randomly, but it like Trailer Park Boys is one of those shows that has been on for so long now that I'm like, oh boy, if I start from the beginning, I'm never gonna, you know, if I try and watch this from the beginning, I'm never gonna catch up. So, um, but it is a
Well, I did as you mentioned. I did kind of set you up for a tease though, man, because like a year plus after I'd been trying to get you to watch the show, and a year plus after they'd not come out with a new season after season two, I got you hooked on it, and you know
I did
left you kind of
watch
high and dry.
I did watch a good movie the other night though, which was it's funny because the critical drinker just did a review on it, but Demolition Man with Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes.
Hey, what are the seashells for? I don't know what are the seashells for.
No,
It's
no,
terrible, Stallone. It's terrible, Stallone. But the seashells, it's the one thing that sticks out from Demolition Man. And Sandra Bullock.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah, definitely. I mean, Sandra Bullock can still get it somewhat, but that's all another topic. But yeah, the Critical Drinker actually calls Demolition Man Life Simulator 2020. So,
Wait, say what?
I said the Critical Drinker now refers to Demolition Man as 2020 Life Simulator.
Oh.
So.
I love the Critical Driz, man. I've been following it, dude. He had like 50 something thousand subscribers when I found that dude.
Yeah,
you know, he's an author too. He's got like a whole series of novels.
I have all of his books too. So,
Do you really?
Mm-hmm. So,
well, guess what, Sam? I am not drunk, and I just dropped my phone. So, proof.
But you've only dropped it once, and it was still.
I dropped it. What did I drop it? 5 ways to Sunday, I think I said.
Yeah,
last week.
Yeah, and then you were like, I'm gonna throw it up to the ceiling. So.
Yeah, I don't like listening. I don't like listening back to my own voice anyway. But I felt compelled, just because, like, I for real got like I don't remember leaving the stream or how it ended. So I'm like, what the fuck? I figured if I really said or did anything stupid, you would be friend enough to be like, hey, I'm not going to post this stream, or I'm going to edit this part out because you were like, hey, I live here, or, you know, something like that. But no, the cringe, man, the cringe level, listening to your own voice that drunk.
No,
is very, it's not fun, man. You know what? I'm glad the audience enjoyed it, so I'm not that ashamed of myself. But you know,
I mean, if it makes you feel any better, I've done drunk live streams on here before too. In fact, remember when the whole Brett Kavanaugh thing happened a few years ago when when he was like, I like beer. Well, I remember I got like a 20 pack of Miller High Lifes on
Sam, I was in the chat for that stream.
Oh,
that was well before I was your co-host, but yeah, I was in the chat for that stream. I remember. You didn't get so fucking drunk that you couldn't fucking even say your words right, though. Like, that's the thing, is I sounded so fucking drunk, man. I mean, you definitely got drunk that night, man. But
oh yeah, I got drunk. The worst part of it was when the DZ meme team kept photoshopping memes of me with dicks in my hands instead of the bottles. That was the worst part of it. So, and since then I don't get drunk on stream very often. So, but yeah, we've all had our embarrassing on stream moments. Apex, you're not alone. So
no, I'm not. But you know, I've been a lurker on the internet for a long time, and it's only been since I decided to start making really shitty Owen Benjamin videos in solidarity with Johnny Arcade and he who shall not be named, who were doxxed on stream, that I watched live as a viewer of Owen's. Well, as you know, and most of the viewers already know well, before then, and since I quit making Owen videos, I've not been, not been keen to project myself out, because as I mentioned earlier, I think that the internet is a magnifying glass on personalities, and I'm pretty sure I'm retarded. Maybe not like autistic, or I'm sorry, like Down syndrome, but no, I don't think I'm retarded. I really don't. It's just it's
No, I
just a meme.
mean,
I'm definitely dumb, retarded in the dumb sense, but uh,
I
I
I I think when it comes to internet retardation, Alex Jones still has the best fucking line on line on.
well, what you need to understand, Joe, I'm kind of retarded. That was good. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
That was,
that
but you know what? Go ahead.
and see that's why I don't and see like that's why I don't mind like us goofing on the stream and like me taking my shirt off at like evil
For the
Eric's
right dollar amount.
at at evil Eric's insistence. So yeah, I mean I don't mind being an internet meme, as long as it's like all in good fun. So I mean, and plus,
Yeah.
and I mean, heck, we took we took gamma, which was an insult to us, and made that into a meme, even though as you said last week, gammas are Straffelnoff and visit, basically they're non-existent. So
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
so well, any other topics that you that you want to bring up? I thought of one more thing.
Go ahead.
So do you have any predictions for the Republican National Convention this coming week?
I predict Secret Service being active. I predict a lot of hyperbolic reporting from the mainstream news as far as like protests and violence surrounding it. I predict well, off the top, that's all I've got. You go ahead, I'll think about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, one of the things I think is weird is that like we're doing this virtually now, instead of like all in person. So I think that's gonna be weird. I am definitely curious to see what Trump has to say for himself. So, because as I understand it, there's not going to be a whole big Trump rally.
Why not?
I mean, there might be, for all I know, but I haven't heard anything about there being one yet. But who knows? I could be the retard on that one. But I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see how Trump is going to be, reacting this go around with, with the re-election campaign. So, it'll be amusing to see what he has to say about Biden. I'm sure I'll have a few good zingers there. So, and other than that, I'm not really sure what to think. So,
yeah. Oh shit! Can you hear me, Sam?
yeah, I can still hear you.
I lost the Discord window. I was gonna say I can't tell if I'm muted or not. I got too many fucking windows open. Yeah, man. I don't know what to expect either. I mean, quite frankly, I listened to most of Trump's. I don't know when it was, but it was like the White House prayer breakfast or whatever. When was that?
Oh gosh, that was like back in April, I think.
Was it when Trump had he had like a really hoarse voice?
Mm-hmm.
He sounded like he'd been fucking yelling or something. I don't know. Anyway, I was watching part of that, just randomly popped up on my YouTube feed. and I was listening to him, and he like started the whole thing with like, yeah, it's been very difficult for me. It's been also, or he's like, y'all have made it very difficult for me. I've made it very difficult for you too. And again, it seemed recent. I didn't realize it was that long ago, but either way, it just reminded me of some of Trump's strengths. And I actually spoke to my stupid liberal friend that I love with all my heart earlier today on the phone. I've made a habit of talking at least once a week on the phone. And we were just talking about some of it because, like I was saying earlier, it's so easy for shit to get lost in translation just with cold letters on a screen, again, and especially when you're trying to text back and forth quickly, respond to points quickly with words and only your thumbs. It's absurd. So I was talking to him about some of the things that I believe and where he's gotten me misconstrued with what he perceives of things he sees online, and how he's just lumping me in with the alt-right and all the other things just because that's all he knows, because it's all he sees. Was that the like what people see in Trump and what people saw in Trump and what I personally see in Trump. And for the first time, I didn't get like the same old reaction, I guess it was maybe the way the conversation led up to it, but it was basically like, he talks all this shit on politicians and stuff. And I'm like, well, that's why ultimately I think that's why people identify with him, because the dude does not talk like a politician. He does not act like a politician. And you can say all you want about previous business dealings and tax returns. I don't know what the fuck's on there. I'm not even sure Trump knows what the fuck's on those tax returns. I think that's probably why he doesn't want him out. But regardless, like, him and I, my friend and I, are in agreement that politicians have led us to where we are, in conjunction with big corporations, large corporations just in general, big money, whatever it is, in whatever field, in conjunction with politics is kind of led the general population on the lower end of the scale to where we are now, black, white, or in between. But he also, this is again where it comes to a schism with him. I could feel it over the phone, because I'm like, so why wouldn't you support the most non-politician that's ever run? That's actually, he's making political moves, but he's not a politician. He doesn't talk like one. He doesn't act like one. He acts like a fucking American. And yeah, he's done some shady shit, I guess, in business dealings in the past. Some of it's proven, some of it's just conjecture. But, how can you argue against? Oh, well, he doesn't sound like one. He doesn't sound like a politician. But that's the people you don't like. Well, yeah, but he also is, so it was go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think one of the things that is like extremely interesting, one of the things that I've noticed is, right, when I was growing up and kind of, before Trump was like even in the political sphere, one of the things that I would always hear is, well, if we had a businessman running the country, things would be a lot better if we actually had like a businessman, someone who knew how to, run business. And that was something that I heard from both, liberals and conservatives pretty consistently, right? And it's kind of interesting because then, Trump ran and Trump got elected, and he's a businessman, and yet these same relatives who would always, who would always say we need a businessman, then they would be like, oh my God, Trump is they got like major Trump derangement syndrome. And I actually told a relative, I'm like, now hold on, I remember I remember when I was a kid, you used to say all the time that we need a businessman as president. Well, now we have one, and now you're concerned about it. What gives? So I just thought that was really interesting.
Right.
So, kind of
yeah, there's a lot of that, man. People are confused, dude. There's so much emotional, like it's equal on both sides of the fence, dude. No matter what your political leaning, you will find. I have found some of, I don't want to say the most emotionally like decision making people on one side or the other. Well, no, I'm sorry. I was going to say on the right, but I have found some very, very emotionally motivated people on the right. As been pointed out before, Trump derangement syndrome very much goes both ways, dude. Like,
oh yeah,
the idea that Trump is, like a literal, like, I mean, anything other than a fucking dude that was a businessman and is now a politician and fucking memed his way into fucking office and is now doing his best to fight against, a system that both hates him and the rest of the country, generally speaking. Like he's not like, that's why I have such a problem with the Q shit. Like, god damn it, how stupid can people be, man?
yeah, and it's funny because I know we just spent like 20 minutes or whatever, basically crapping on Netflix for the whole cuties thing. And, granted, I get it that, pedophilia is bad and it should rightly,
Yeah.
it is fucked up. But one of the things that annoys me about QAnon is this whole thing where it's like pedophilia is everywhere. Where it's literally like there could be pedophiles under my fucking floorboards, or something, that's how like some of these people act, and it's like if you can't like trust your fucking neighbor or whatever because you think they're like, obviously be cautious and watch out for your kids and all of that, but it's like,
first of all, get to know your fucking neighbors.
yeah,
How about that?
Yeah.
But second of all, I don't think this is just another example, man. Like, I have zero, and I mean zero doubt that there is mass child pedophilia and sex trafficking rings among the most elite people in the world. Zero. I have no doubts about that in my mind whatsoever.
Yeah.
But the idea that every missing child is a victim of that is it's harder for me to believe. But it is so easy for people that care about kids, which is every fucking human on the planet that has a soul, to get wrapped up in. Again, like I keep mentioning, it's so fucking easy to get lost in information in this information age because there's so much of it. There's so many takes on ideas and like takes on a take on a take on a take. Like, the facts, there's not even facts to begin with. It's an opinion that someone gives a take on, that someone gives a take on, that someone gives a take on, and that fourth person in the line happens to be Tim fucking Pool or somebody that's got millions of people, or Stephen fucking, no, maybe not Steven Crowder, but you get what I'm saying. Like,
yeah,
it's the idea that, like, it's so fucking easy because Steven Crowder and Tim Pool and I can't think of any left wingers.
Sank Uger.
No, that dude don't count. He's not a human.
Oh
No,
fuck.
No, the dude, the hill. Crystal and Soccer always call him out. Kyle Kalinske, I think.
Oh yeah.
Fuck. See, I spent so much of my brain matter powers on figuring out that name.
Sam,
I lost.
Sam Cedar is another one.
Yeah. I can't remember what my point was, though. I can't remember why I was trying to think of left-wing commentators. Shit.
But your point is that there are nuts on both sides, right? That was.
Oh, no. Oh, that's right. My point actually was that on both sides they're fucking people, and they don't have. I mean, in some cases they do have fact checkers, and they do, source their stories and shit. They get, reliable sources. But for the most part, the e-celeb, the people like Tim Pool, and the people like all of these people that are just one person, I don't fucking trust them. I don't trust anything that they say, basically. I have to vet every word out of their mouth because they are fundamentally Ethan Ralph prior to the sex tape. And maybe that's a little deep lore for you, Sam, because that's a different part of the internet than what you're used to, perhaps. But, I think all e-celebs are the same fucking thing. They just don't know it yet, or they haven't reached that point yet. They're just people. And when you are one person acting as a front for the most reliable source for anything, you're inevitably going to be corrupted by your own ego. And, you're going to have people around you. And you're likely only going to recruit people that are going to, just by human nature, that are going to boast or reinforce your superiority. And somewhere along the line, you're going to start reporting shit that's not true. Like Tim Pool did on with the whole Cernovich, Owen Benjamin Patreon thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Pool was so fucking eager to be like, big tech censorship. It's all coming down. Look, I was right. It's all fucking, it's been prophesized. No, you fucking idiot. You were so caught up in this e-celeb thing that Cernovich and his dick knot that he has with Vox Day and Owen Benjamin, that's where all of their dicks are tied together in that knot, by the way. That's what I meant by that, just to clarify. This dick knot that he's got going on, everybody else was blind to it because, the people that wanted it to be true, it's true because somebody that they deem respectable said so. They didn't even need to look. They didn't need no vetting. And that's what I mean. Like, these hug boxes and these echo chambers become a lot fucking bigger than people think. It's a lot bigger than just the chat for a certain channel. It's the fucking, it's why I don't like fucking Mersh anymore, because I'm pretty sure he's been in cahoots with Owen in some degree for years now, or at least a year. You know what I mean?
Well,
with the whole starting with the Alan Powell fallout.
Yeah.
And prior to that, they had direct communication via email, private communications that Mersh shared. He shared that they had them. Because he was proud that he, convinced Owen that Crowder was a bisexual.
Yeah.
So Mersh had no reason. Mersh had no reason to hide that because he gained something from that.
Which to be honest, with the whole Crowder being bisexual thing, because people have asked me about that. Look, I don't know if it's true. I know that his wife is hot.
Crowder sucks dicks, bro. Just deal with it.
I mean, it might be true, but here's the thing: I don't really care. Like at the end of the day, what I care more about is Owen, what I care about more is like the people like Owen who like to self-project and pretend everyone else is gay, but then just self-project. But that that's another topic. So I think the thing that bugs me with the whole Patreon and that whole thing is, like, even people that you and I like, Apex, like Sean and Alex from Versa, you know, even they kind of fell into the trap of, you know, reading Cernovich's tweets as, you know, facts, right?
They absolutely did.
And
That's exactly my point, man.
and I, you know, I've been, well, I mean, you were there in the Discord, you know, and I'm not saying anything bad about them, but I was kind of like, you guys might want to be careful because, you know, this whole lawsuit is not what you guys think it is. It's,
Well, yeah, no, it was made very clear. There's no need to like preemptively apologize because we all discussed it openly on stream. I remember pretty vividly because
oh
I
yeah,
said the same thing. I'm like, this thing is not over. And ultimately, you know, their stance was anything that hurts big tech is good. And I mean, by that standard, they're not wrong to celebrate because it is going to cost Patreon a lot of money. Like, there's no question about that. But
but
where we were getting lost, and specifically in that conversation with Versa, the guys at Versa, was that we were talking from an Owen Benjamin perspective. We were thinking Owen talking about winning. Owen's winning against Patreon,
right,
which is the narrative, that Alex and Dexter were picking up on. But once I broke it down for them, like, look, Owen's not winning anything, or once we broke it down, but Owen's not actually winning anything. Well, their point was, yeah, but the arbitration for all those cases is going to cost Patreon a lot of money, which et cetera, et cetera. Well, okay, but again, my point stands. It's going to cost Patreon a lot of money, but it's also potentially going to cost the 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 legitimate artists and creators that use Patreon potentially their entire income. You know, because if Owen and Vox get their way, well, I guess Owen specifically, Patreon was going to get shut down
well,
altogether.
well, and the other,
I mean, of course, we backpedaled on that, but
well, and the other thing too, is I remember Alex and, you know, Sean were thinking, well, the arbitration will set a new precedent for free, you know, for they think it was going to set precedent for, you know, free speech lawsuit cases, and as E Scorpio pointed out last week in discussing, arbitration doesn't do anything illegally. It doesn't set legal precedent for anything. So
no, it's
um
basically, isn't it basically like, I mean, effectively doesn't exist in like the legal that's what arbitration is. That's why they set up arbitration.
yeah,
Like a lot of companies, when you hire in with them, you have to sign like before you can even like start getting paid, you have to sign like an arbitration agreement saying, hey, if something fucked up happens while you work for us, you can't sue us. You have to go through arbitration,
yeah, I
you know,
mean,
which effectively protects them from lawsuits. I mean, you could still get you know, what do you call it? You know, reward or whatever. You'll still get some sort of winning if you're in the wrong or have been wronged, but it won't show as any sort of actual lawsuit against them. You know, it's
yeah,
some sort of fucking loophole.
yeah, so I mean, and the other point too is in regards to big tech, yeah, I suppose that Patreon could be kind of considered big tech, but out of all the big tech companies in Silicon Valley, Patreon is not, you know, that high up on the food chain compared to Google or Facebook or, you know, or Twitter. They're kind of like the new kid on the block still, so to speak. So they've only been
Who's
around
that?
Patreon.
Oh yeah.
So
I mean, you know, there was the fuck, who was that 3D printed gun guy? Cody Wilson. That got banned from Patreon. That was fucked up. And then Patreon, Cody Wilson's fucking alternative to Patreon, got banned, which was fucked up. But that was an entirely separate thing. Yeah, payment pro. That was like, that was fucking years ago, dude. I can't remember how long ago that was, but Yeah, that's another. It's another person that nobody even talks about anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That dude developed a 3D printed gun that everybody could make for free, and he said went on a bunch of shows, internet shows and stuff. Was like, "Yep, they're probably gonna get me for something. Like they're coming after me." And then all of a sudden, the dude got caught with an underage like prostitute or some shit somewhere, some foreign country. I don't even remember exactly the exact details, but it was
Yeah.
that was back in the heyday of the kill stream when it was on YouTube. But yeah, man, like it's really weird. It's a really weird time we live in. And I talk about the Iron Curtain over in Asia coming down, but we've got a pretty stern one here too that's been growing over our lifetimes and since before we were born. That maybe isn't as clearly iron, but the sense. I mean, Snowden pointed a bunch of it out. A lot of the things that the Chinese do is not much worse than what we do. The only difference is we have a veil of freedom, where the Chinese don't under the communist regime. Like the Chinese are much less shy about their censorship and their totalitarianism. Here in this country, politicians and lawmakers have to do it much more subversively. Like, that's another argument that I've heard recently. Like, well, how do you say that we're any better? Well, I mean, we're better in a lot of ways, but there are points to that, man. There are valid arguments to be made that a lot of what China does, in regards to monitoring and censorship and stuff like that, it's not, well, I shouldn't say a lot. I shouldn't quantify it in that regard, but there's a decent portion of things that they do and have done and continue to do that are literally like mirror image of what we, in the realm of spying, in the realm of information gathering and espionage to a greater extent. So
Well, and one of the points that Gavin McGinnis makes that I tend to agree with, he actually made this point a few years ago, was if you look at life over here, the U.S. government in terms of censorship and whatnot is pretty fair, actually. The U.S. government itself, that is.
No, for sure.
But the censorship comes from big, corporations like Facebook and Google and whatnot.
Which the government doesn't regulate. Exactly.
They're the ones who are more tyrannical here, and yet, and I mean, and that was something that my friend who is a big political science major, that was something that my IRL friend and I were discussing on Skype the other night. Is, I mean, basically, like or not, Facebook and Twitter own the public square, basically, on just general conversations with people. So, you have
on the internet, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the internet is the public square, basically, though, right? I mean,
yeah.
You don't see people going out into the local, park like you did in the, 1800s or the 1900s and holding, rallies or discussions. I mean, you still do,
Yeah,
but not as much as we did back then. Mostly the discourse is all online now. And so,
yeah.
I mean, that is one thing I like about podcasting and live streaming too, is the fact that we can do this long form and just shoot the shit, and we have people in chat who interact with us too, and who contribute and give viewpoints and whatnot. So, so it's all a plus and minus thing. So, but anyway, I guess
we're gonna wrap it up.
Yeah, I think we'll wrap it up. So anything you want to promote, or anything you think we should mention?
Yeah, I do have one thing to say. if you aren't already, unfollow Apex_Gamma on Twitter. It's not worth your time. Unsubscribe from Apex Gamma Reloaded on YouTube because it's not worth your time. Subscribe to this channel though, the Whitfield Report. And God bless America. Go ahead, Sam. Take us out.
And I would just say that that's all Apex Gamma is the best Gamma there is. He just here's the thing. What you have to understand is Gammas need hugs too sometimes. So
sometimes Gammas need bullets too, or lightning strikes, you know.
Well, sometimes Gammas just need, you know, girlfriends and whatnot too. But that yeah. So
pussy, Sam, just say it.
Well,
I love you, Whitfield Report audience.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go talk shit in Versa Media now, I think.
Oh, I'm gonna fucking join you in there too after I
all right, well, let's go talk
after
shit.
I grab a beer. But anyway, folks, I want to thank you for tuning into this program, and you know, God, freedom, legacy in that order, as my friend John Nerai likes to say. Shout out to Nerai and shout out to the DZ. I want to thank everyone for tuning in, and before we go, let me open the D Live chest for you guys watching over there. And yeah, I want to thank everyone who you know, tuned in and has supported us on the channel. So I'm opening up the D Live chest right now. And as I mentioned, folks, I'll be you know, renewing the website this week, hopefully, and getting that set up. So, so thanks. And no one opened the live chat. So, like I said, thank you so much, and I will see you on the next episode of the Whitfield Report. God bless America and God save this great nation. Good night, folks, and I'll see you next week.